So we're going to talk about time. I love that you guys are in a great mood. I hope the viewing audience is in a great mood. So timing is something that I have to say, you have to really know that you're making a confident, clear, decisive decision when you're in timing. Like when it's flowing, those things are present. So clarity, strong decision making, confidence. That actually helps you not to have timing be something that you're, you know how when you get, okay, let me say this. So you know how when you get to that place where you're like, oh my gosh, I have a deadline. I got to meet the deadline. I got to meet the deadline. Or you know there is a deadline coming. You know, we all know there's 28 to 30 or 31 days in a month, right? Depending on the month. So we know, you know, if you're on the 30th day and you have to get something done by the 31st, if you have made good decisions, if you've been really confident and clear on the decisions that you've been making up to that point, do you freak out that you're at a deadline on the 31st? No, you don't. But what happens is, somewhere along the line, we forget to enjoy ourselves and to have, I say time is about having the joy of life, to making sure that everything in life is coming to you and from you in a process that flows nicely. You get to enjoy each and every moment that you're in. So, you know, you guys have heard how, you know, you live in the moment. Well, and I'm sure viewing audience, you get what I'm saying. You know, living in the moment is the big thing to do. Well, you can live in the moment if you're standing confident in the decisions that you're making. Because then there are certain things that are going to be done in each moment that are going to be what I would call like, you know, they link together, right? So what I want us to do is I want us to stop having time be this like, oh my gosh, pressure, 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 pressure. You know, even getting ready in the morning. Everybody gets ready to go on their day, right? So if you have decided, I'm going to hit the snooze button a couple times. And what you've done is you've been clear about your day, and you're like, okay, I'm going to hit the snooze because I know I can make up my time here, I can take this out. You know, you're making confident decisions on, I know there's certain things I got to take out. Maybe I don't have that cup of coffee or that lemon water that I was going to have before I take off in my day. I take out the 5 minutes there, but I get to rest longer. Or, you know what? Hey, today, the things that I'm doing today, I can throw my hair up in a I wouldn't say scrunchie because that really would be scary, wouldn't it? in a ponytail or something, and I'm just going to go do my errands. I don't have to be all fresh and showered and looking, 100%. But we have to still make clear, precise decisions in order for us to live in a moment, right? You still do have to do that because everything is linked together. So unfortunately, or fortunately, sometimes we forget that. And we pretend like time is something that is, how do I want to say this, doesn't have deadlines in it. They do. We just don't have to have the pressure of the deadline. Does that make sense? So there are times when people say to me, oh yeah, I'll get to that. And they'll come and they'll ask me an intuitive question about, hey, should I buy my house? What do you think? I'll give you an example from me. So it was quite a few years ago now. My husband and I were building our home. My husband's a general contractor. And so, we were going to buy the property. He's going to build the house, all that good stuff, right? And I kept getting a message, I need to be closed by the end of, I believe it was the end of April. And I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is, but I kept getting April 30th. Well, it was, give or take, I think, October-ish. And I'm thinking that's pretty tight timing to buy the property, to get get everything going. But I knew we had to close by the end of April. And I couldn't tell you why I knew that. Didn't have a clue, but I knew that was my message. So I was really confident and I was really clear. And I made a decisive decision to take action on knowing that we got to close by the end of April. So I tell him that we, get together, we do the blueprints, we're on this timeline and we're doing everything and if you'd know my husband's timing is one of his mastered. So I knew if I got him on board with what my date was, that he would actually be able to do what he needed to. So come to find out, if you guys remember, now this has been quite a few years ago, that our rates went from, you could not have I could not have bought the property, put the money that I wanted invested in this property in May, because everything shot up. And it shot up like on, I can't remember now, it was like the May 5th or something. And it shot up to the point where, $60,000 is my whole cabinet package or my whole, I would have had to take out something that the quality of my home, because it's that much of a difference. So when people come to me, and so we didn't, and we did make it, and we closed, I think, on the 15th. It was something really great. So that's a good story. That's a positive one. That's one where you go, okay, that worked. And I got my collaborators and my partnership on board so that it could happen. And you've got to get the right partners, because if you have somebody that doesn't know how to do that, like I told you, my husband was really mastered in that. If you got somebody that really drug their feet, it wouldn't have worked, right? So again, we have to make sure, and I've said this in, I believe, a couple of my other segments, that make sure that you have the partnership and collaborator that is going to meet your timelines. So some of us make really big mistakes because, we get somebody that they really aren't good at that. Or we're ones that aren't good at it, and we don't hire somebody to take our place at being good at it. Does that make sense? If you know you're a person that really isn't good with timing, and you have a project in your business or at home even that needs that, you need to make sure that you have that on your team, okay? So you want to use time as something that is, again, the value, brings joy in your life, has you enjoy your time, the moments that you have, not, oh my gosh, we got to meet this deadline, okay? So in that particular case that I just told you about with my husband and I, it worked out great, because again, I think it was about a $60,000 difference. And it was like, that's a big chunk of money when you're building a home, okay? So I got to have some amenities that I wouldn't have had because I would have had to, keep on budget, all right? I've had other circumstances in which clients, and this might be the case for some of you viewing this, that you ask me a question, you're like, well, why the big thing? And I'll say, well, you can do this if you do it within this timeline. And they're like, what's the deal with the timeline? Well, it's sometimes unknown to us. Just like for me, I couldn't have told you why I knew April 30th, but I did know April 30th. So I stayed really strong in my wisdom and connected there that was my date. But there are times when my clients will say to me, so why is that so important? So I'll give you another case that I had one client that he was buying a vehicle, and he said, I want this, this, and this in this vehicle. And he kept saying, well, where do I go? And usually, there's the usual, Auto Trader, Craigslist, or whatever it is. So I said, well, don't even look for it for a week. And he was obsessing. And when you want something and you start obsessing, and you're online, and you're, damn, it's not happening, it's not going, I'm not getting it, there's nothing out there. People do that with homes. You guys, some of you are realtors, you know that you're like, you have that client that is like, they keep getting on, they're I don't know how you call it, but they're, whatever, you guys give them access to, and they're like, nothing's showing up. But if you use your intuition, and you used your timing of saying, listen, I'm not even gonna waste my time with that client till next Tuesday, it would just fit, love that part of me. If you said, I'm not gonna do it till next Tuesday because I know their home isn't going to be online, how much freedom you have? The timeline, you wouldn't be wasting time on something that's not going to manifest because it's not on the market yet. It's not on the market yet. So you can't find something that's not even there. So I told him, stop obsessing, go, he was in school. So I said, go and really focus on, your schooling and what you need to get done this week. And then and I was very specific, by next Thursday, I want you to get online and it'll be there. Well, of course, he kind of listened. He was obsessing a little bit on Tuesday, Wednesday. Nothing's there. He gets on Thursday morning. Bing, here's his truck. Lets me know. When he, immediately, clarity, decision, confidence, said, that's my vehicle. Went and got it, called the person, made the deal, truck's there. Where he messed up is if you're going to obsess before that. Remember that deadline thing? It creates stress in us. So where your intuition is just, amazingly valuable when it comes to time is that if you really stay strong in your wisdom, which is something we'll talk about too, our coursework here is all designed for them to mesh together. So there isn't, you could take all 9 of them and you can intermix all 9 of our courses here to help you in any one of these areas that I'm going to be talking to you about. There are some that are specific, they really specifically talk to some of these areas. One of the ones is 7 Human Roles. And 7 Human Roles, for me, speaks to time in that when you're confident in who you are as a woman, as a man, there's 7 different roles. We could go into them, but I won't go into all of them. But think of yourself as a woman in particular. If, as a woman, you feel confident and you feel clear about who you are you going to waver when you get a deal coming in that somebody is maybe more, kind of throwing their weight around. And you just kind of hold your position and you know exactly who you are. Are you gonna waste the time in feeling insecure and waste your time in a dialogue with somebody that maybe is not committed the same level as you are to making the deal that you want to make? You wouldn't, right? You would kind of let go of having that interaction with somebody. So it's important to me to have us be really strong in the human roles that we play, which is woman, wife, mother, I could go on, provider, okay? So we have moved that particular course in the direction of knowing how to feel confident, how to feel clear about who you are, and then that way your timing, living in the moment, it starts showing up differently. You make better, quicker decisions, okay? So some of you have still the stresses of deadlines. And like I said to you, everybody knows this. Well, if you would have done it before, right? We all know that. If you would have done it before, you wouldn't feel the pressure of the deadline. But just like I told you, even getting up in the morning, there are times when we have to make a decision like, you know what, I do want the extra 10 minutes of sleep. So I'm going to take the hot lemon water out of my morning routine. Or I'm going to take, you make accommodations, but you make those from not out of you're leaving something out of like that's the decision that you want to make and you're clear that you want to make that decision, okay? Some of us are not making decisions. Some of us are just, we don't even think about, that, oh, that's going to mean that they trail together. Some of us don't do that, and we have to begin doing that. So what I want us to really focus on, I'm going to ask you guys some questions, is are you weak in making decisions, or are you choosing not to make them because you don't want to, what are your reasons? What are the reasons why you're not making good decisions? Is it because you really don't know what they are? Or is it because you know what they are and you don't care? You're going to waste your time doing it. Like I said, doing something that doesn't yield results. So the guy that I was telling you about, he could have easily got that message too. Like, it's not even going to be available. The person hasn't even put it up for sale. So why would I waste this week when I can use that time to focus on my schooling? That he was taking finals at the time. So could you imagine looking for a vehicle and doing finals? Right? So why would you, if it's really not going to be available on that Thursday, focus your time on the finals so that you don't have the stress there instead of like stressing out for too many things, and that's what we do. Our plates are full. There isn't anybody, I guarantee even that people that are viewing this, you all have full plates. That's how we live our lives now. But we don't live them instinctually, intuitively, with our gut. We don't say, what today do I need to accomplish that will further my plan? And wait for that guidance to really guide you forward in how to use your time. Does that make sense? We don't stop long enough to do that. And that's a really valuable, a lot of people meditate in the morning. They take that quiet time. It's the reason why they're doing that is because they're centering themselves. They're aligning themselves with their connection so that they make better moment-to-moment decisions in the day. That's what I'm recommending us do, is in the moment when you're feeling pressured, stop. Take a moment, deep breaths, like, okay, what is the best decision for me to make right now? And get in touch with what we call here, your intuition. Whether you call it your alignment, whether you call it your wisdom, whether you call it your gut instinct, but take a moment because that's what is most important in making decisions around time. And it could very well be, like I've had times before where, a client had to reschedule very last minute and I could be like, oh, I just lost that money. What in the, or I could go, okay, why would that have happened? Is there something else I need to do? Or is there another client or another situation that I need to handle that I didn't expect? And so it's allowing kind of the universe, our source, to guide us in such a way that our time is used in the most productive, resourceful way that benefits us and has our life be that of enjoyment instead of that, that stress and pressure. Okay, so some of you, let's have a little bit of dialogue. If the viewing audience, what I'd ask you to do, and I always ask this, is please put yourself in their shoes. We have an audience here that are asking me questions, but if you could relate to each of them, and if you go, yeah, I can't relate to that person's question, see if you have a person in your life that possibly you could relate to. You know, maybe it's not you, but it's your spouse or it's your child or it's your coworker, and they remind you of that person, and it's like you could hear some of the dialogue that I'm having with them that will help you relate and help you relate to the people in your life differently. Okay? So that's what I'm asking all of us to do.